Hello and welcome to another Whiskey Review. With me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me for review number 192. 192, the fifth and final part. Final part, can I be the first to go? Yes, of my series looking at some cheap, inexpensive, affordable blends. Yes, we got there in the end. Ooh, it's been a testing series, this one. And look, you know, I've said it a few times. I didn't want it to be a testing series. I just wanted to go back. I wanted to go right back in my journey. But the thing about it is, I didn't go back on my journey. I've realised that I didn't necessarily go back on my journey because I didn't start with these. I bypassed these at the start of my journey. So I've went back and actually hit upon ones that I did miss out on at the start of my journey. Was it a pleasure to miss out on them? Yeah, it probably was. I mean, right, anyway, bells. Let's not dig too deep. The bells, in the words of the great Quasimodo, I believe it was. Maybe not. Bells from Diageo. This built round a core of, generally a core of Blair Athol from there in Pitlochry in the Highlands. So look, good. It's good. Blair Athol, good. Bells, right, the litre bottle, because this is around this sort of 17 to 25 pounds mark, you'll find this for a litre, which basically, I'm going to say now, drags the punishment out for a little longer than it needs to. Let's get into it, shall we? 40% chill filtered, colour added, as I said, Diageo, as I said, Blair Athol at its core. Let's go, shall we? Grainy. Once again, the grain element, the sweet element of everything stands out. That's what's keeping the price down. That is what's doing it. Grain whiskey is much cheaper, much easier to make than malt whiskey. So that pulls the price down for the production end of things. It's once again sweet because of that grain element. Once again, bright, sharp, orange, powdered sugar, green apple, pear, little touch of barley sugar. And you know, all of those, or most of those, are notes that have been repeated throughout this series. And as I said, there's a reason for that. It's because it's a heavy grain element in these whiskies, making it cheaper to produce, making it cheaper to sell to the person who wants to buy it. There's a better name for that. You know, it sort of makes me start to think, are these whiskies all the same? Bell's, Ballantines, Dewar's, which I reviewed in a previous series, things like that, and more. Do they become all the same? A little yes, a little no. No by design, but just because of that high grain element, they do tend to start to feel a little the same. Sweet, tick, palatable. Do you know? Tick, yes. Inoffensive, yes. Cheap, very much so. And even the palatable bit, I did pull into question, but you know, it's another one of these things that any cheap blend, any inexpensive, affordable blend, there's a reason. Once again, they are cheap and sweet, etc., and it's because of the high grain element. So sweet tends to lend itself to more palates. So there's a couple of reasons why these things will always do all right. There's a reason why Bells, there's a reason why Dewar's, there's a reason why Ballantines, etc. Because they're cheap, lending themselves to more palates. They are sweet, lending themselves to more palates. There's a couple of reasons. There's other reasons than that, but Sweet, thin, orangey. Thin. This is orangey, and then bitter caramel. Yep. Quite a lot of caramel up front there. Very thin. Very thin. Metallic. More of that orange. More of that bitterness. Thin, thin, thin. It's sort of setting my fillings off. Oh dear. Yeah, and it just finishes off with this sort of prickly, annoying thing. I was quite surprised how much caramel there is up front. I'm getting that more so than I did whenever I was doing my tasting notes for this. But it's so damn thin that you get that caramel immediately and then it's gone. And all that bitter metallic, and it literally is setting my fillings off at the back. Thin finish of, short finish once again, finish of just sharpness, bitter, tannic. Do you know, Bell's sort of sums this series up well. And I think I've already said it. There's no point in me repeating myself over and over again, but let's just finish by saying this. Cheap because grain. Sweet because grain. There's over 40 whiskies once again in this. I think started this series with a Johnny Walker Black, and I think there was over 40 whiskies in that as well. And this just sums it all up pretty well, where it's just yeah, no, even you know, I know it's all right to put mixer in it, put whatever you want in it, whatever, but look, it's crap. Yes, it's crap. Was that a little harsh? I don't care. So what would I recommend? Anything once again? Anything? Anything. Absolutely anything. I'm going to go back to the core. Yes, I am. And I'm going to say, get yourself a bottle of Blair Athol. Let's go right back and say you're starting your whiskey journey and Bell's is your thing. Fair enough. You will learn. It's probably a bit much. It's probably quite a stretch to just go, right, we'll get a bottle of Blair Athol. But, do you know, Blair Athol's good stuff, especially independently bottled. Now, this is actually a Diageo release from the Flora and Fauna range, the Blair Athol 12. There are better independent bottlings of Blair Athol, but I thought this was a good, because it's quite readily available. I thought if Bell's, if for whatever bloody reason Bell's is your thing, and you thought, well, where could I move in the single malt realm? Blair Athol, there you go. It's you know, look, forget about this. I do actually happen to have someone to empty that into, because I'm not drinking the rest of that on this occasion. There, decision made. It's an executive decision, and I've decided to pour myself one of them instead. Say what you want, I don't care. Managed to pour it round the desk, I don't care. It's weird too, because there's there are ever so slight hints of what you can. Now, in fairness, I didn't rinse my glass out, but hints of that orange, hints of that. Look, there's over 40 whiskies in this. There's quite a bit more than just Blair Athol. but I was definitely getting hints of what's going on in there. I had to pour myself that as a little treat. I had to pour the Blair Athol as a little treat. The Bell's, no. Yeah, so there you go. What would I recommend as an alternative to Bell's? Blair Athol. And if you can, I would even recommend look for independent bottlings of it, because that 12-year-old Flora and Fauna Blair Athol's good. I've had better to much better independent bottlings of it. Blair Athol, good. Bell's, bad. That's the end of that series. Once again, I got there. That's been, sorry, it sounds daft. And look, I'm trying not. The whole idea was to say, let's get people started on their whiskey journey. Let's do reviews of these whiskies that are cheap or inexpensive, affordable blends. Very difficult, very, very difficult to look back and go, yeah, it's all right. There are a few out there. There are a few that are good. I would recommend Dewar's. I do actually quite like Dewar's. I know it would be one of the bigger ones in the United States in particular. Grouse is a different thing because it's a bit like the Black Label, Johnnie Walker Black Label, where it's got that maybe slight hint of peatiness about it, ever so slight. But I think the big issue with all of these inexpensive blends is how thin they are on the palate, how sweet they are on the palate. Do you know, it would be a much better world if these were great whiskies at that price. There would be a hell of a lot more whiskey enthusiasts, I'm convinced. But unfortunately, they're not, and the price of whiskey is just going up. So these blends will probably remain quite affordable, quite inexpensive. The single malts, the pot stills, even the single grains, etc., will start to climb. The blends will probably hang around in that realm for long enough. They're not for me anymore, unfortunately. That doesn't mean I don't want to put them down, but they're just not for me anymore. There you go. Thank you very much for joining me for this series and for all of my reviews. I will be back very soon. Thank you very much to my patrons. Should you wish to join that group, the details are in the video description below, and I will leave a little link up here for just some more information about my patronage. Thank you so much for joining me for this series. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know I lost a few people during this series. I don't know why. I do know why, but it's how it goes. You can't just always review the best of whiskey. Sometimes the lower stuff comes in there as well. Thank you for sticking around. Look after yourselves, look after each other. Here's your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.